And Daniel's obviously very disappointed. He's in the dressing room at the moment, and if he's going to come back, he's got to learn from it. He's only 27 years of age. He's, you know.
Not that. It's boxing. It's not ballet. It's not dancing. Daniel, you young. You can dream. Man, dude. Relax, man.
The boxing world has been left stunned. At just 27 years old, Daniel Dubois, once considered one of Britain's brightest heavyweight prospects, has announced his retirement from the sport.
Loss I get and
I retired.
I retired. Yeah, I say, hey, it's not good.
You have to keep boxing.
Yeah, you young. You can training. Maybe it's stupid mind, but if I lost in this fight, I get out in boxing. But maybe it's a moment.
It's news that has shocked fans, pundits, and even his own promoter. From the outside, it feels sudden, almost too sudden. This was supposed to be a fighter entering his prime years, the stage where heavyweights typically hit their stride. Yet here we are, talking about him stepping away entirely. The question is, why now? And more importantly, is this decision even real? Eddie Hearn, never one to mince words, offered his take, and it was brutal. In Hearn's view, Dubois has lost both his physical sharpness and his mental hunger. He talked about the decline in Dubois' punch resistance, how the desire just doesn't seem to be there anymore.
Fans, because we've got a chance to make the biggest fight in boxing, but, you know, if that is the last we see of him, he's had a great career. I doubt it. But, you know, it's always best to come into retirement to make sure someone pays you to come out of retirement. But if that's his lot.
Hearn reminded everyone of the big moments Dubois has avoided or fallen short in. He ducked a high-stakes fight with Joseph Parker. When he got the shot at Alexander Usyk, he folded under the pressure. Now, instead of digging deep and working his way back, he's walking away. Hearn's tone made one thing clear. This retirement feels more like an escape than the end of a storied career.
If he catches you, you're in trouble. And I think just after that, he just decided, basically, I'm not going to go on the back foot anymore. I'm going to take the fight to Dubois. And he just kind of beat him up. And obviously stops him. I mean, he's beaten AJ twice, Fury twice, Dubois twice.
Fans aren't being gentle about it either. Social media lit up with memes, trolling, and criticism. Many see this as a classic case of running from the pressure instead of facing it head-on. In boxing, losing is part of the journey. The true test is how you respond to those losses. British boxing fans especially want to see their fighters come back stronger after setbacks. Dubois' decision to step away now makes it look like he's choosing the easier road, avoiding the grind it takes to rebuild. Johnny Nelson echoed that sentiment in his usual direct style. He didn't dance around the point. Dubois, in his eyes, lacks the mentality to deal with adversity. Nelson pointed out that in this sport, you have to learn to take your losses like a man, regroup, and push forward. Retirement at 27 doesn't look like wisdom. It looks like denial. And Nelson isn't the only one who feels that way.
Walk away, man. Retire. You don't need it. You don't need it. And if you are going to do it, make sure it...
Frank Warren, Dubois' promoter, offered a more measured but equally telling perspective. He spoke of how disappointed Dubois was after the Usyk fight, mentally crushed, sitting in the dressing room, barely saying a word. Warren said it outright. At 27, you should be entering your prime years, not talking about hanging up the gloves. If Dubois does decide to come back, Warren believes the only path forward is to learn from the defeat, embrace the hard road, and stop trying to take shortcuts. Then there's Carl Froch, who's not buying the retirement story for a second. Froch suspects this is a calculated financial move, a way to build buzz, gain sympathy, and position himself for a more lucrative return down the line. In Froch's view, this is damage control from a fighter who's struggled to handle pressure ever since his loss to Joe Joyce. Froch's message is simple. Real warriors don't play games with retirement.
This retirement, I'm not sure if it's genuine. Maybe it is, but I don't know what he's going to do now he's retired. But the fact of the matter is, he's announced his retirement. He's either trying to leverage for more money and putting himself in position, so he's got people begging for him to come out, or he's actually genuinely going to retire. Not sure what he's going to do.
They fight. Derek Chisora was even more blunt. He called the retirement a confused publicity stunt, accusing Dubois of playing mind games with the fans. One minute, he's saying he's done. The next, he's hinting at new fights. Chisora, a man who's been in the trenches of the heavyweight division for over a decade, doesn't have time for that kind of indecision. If you're out, stay out. If you're in, fight, was his message, plain and simple.
For him to decide to say I'm leaving the game, it's hard, bro. So he has to come up with ways of just trying to annoy everybody. Offer me a fight, he says he's gonna fight for this and this. It's just crazy, but it is what it is.
Martin Bacol took a different approach, but his words cut just as deep. Bacol said Dubois lost to Usyk because he never evolved as a fighter. The same flaws kept showing up, no consistent jab, no meaningful adjustments, and a predictable style that any elite heavyweight could read like a book. Bacol even said he predicted the knockout before the fight, and when the night came, nothing surprised him.
I said it before the fight, even today, before today, that Daniel Dubois would never pass 5 rounds if he kept boxing like the same way he boxed last time he fought Usyk. But he did the same. There was no jab, nothing changed. He deserved the knockout because he never changed something like.
David Adelai offered a technical breakdown that exposed just how unprepared Dubois was mentally. He said Dubois froze under pressure, overthought every move, and let Usyk control the pace from the very first round. By giving Usyk time and space, Dubois was essentially letting one of the smartest boxers in the sport dictate everything.
Daniel was thinking too much. There's times when I could see Daniel being a bit hesitant. He was sitting there thinking. He did let his right hand go and he did throw a lot of shots, but I think sometimes when you overthink it, you give Usyk too much time. And when you give Usyk time, you kind of let him play at his own sort of pace. Usyk established the jab from like the first 30 seconds, which was, look, like it just shows his level.
Adelai made it clear this wasn't just about physical ability. This was about mental collapse. Dave Allen's verdict was probably the most damning. He accused Dubois of quitting, not because of injury, but because of will. Allen pointed out that Dubois looked fine after the knockdown, with no wobble, no disorientation. Yet instead of fighting on, he walked away. Allen called it out for what it was, and while some fans might think it's harsh, many others agree. At 27, to step away mid-fight sends a message to the boxing world that you lack the grit needed to survive at the top.
Well, I got up at the count of 10, and he walked straight past Usyk, straight to the corner. He was completely fine. I think, and you know what, it's horrific to say I've quit. It's not horrific to say I'm quit. I'm chairman of the quit committee. I'm top quitter, I guess. Anyway, he quit, yeah.
Even Dubois' trainer, Don Charles, was left speechless after the Usyk fight. This is a man known for his fiery interviews, yet he could barely string a sentence together. He felt conned by the performance, saying Dubois folded far too early. Chisora backed that up, revealing that Dubois was set to win, but brought nothing new to the ring.
I don't understand. They were supposed to train him different. They did not. It's big time. It was set for him to win it. It was set for him to win it. When I went to graduate, he said, "How you feel?" Don Charles goes to me, "Oh, go suck your best friend's dick."
Joe Gallagher's tactical analysis showed exactly how Dubois walked into a check hook. Basic, predictable mistakes that a fighter at his level should never make. And then there's another point from Carl Froch that's hard to ignore. Dubois reportedly hosted gatherings before the Usyk fight. Froch, a man who lived and breathed discipline during his career, called that amateur hour. To him, it proved Dubois wasn't locked in mentally, and that lack of focus can be the difference between winning and losing. When you put it all together, Dubois' sudden retirement doesn't feel like the closing of a career.
I think Daniel forced him into the ropes and he just walked onto a check hook high up on the head, and then obviously in the two phases of attack, Usyk did in them with the left hook around the side of the right hand.
It feels like a retreat, a way to dodge the heat, reset the narrative, and possibly come back when the time is right. But the problem is, fans aren't buying it. They remember the ducked fights, the folded moments, the lack of grit when it mattered most. And until Dubois proves otherwise, that shadow will follow him. So, is this really the end for Daniel Dubois? Or is it just part of a bigger plan to come back with fresh excuses and a better paycheck? For now, The only thing that's certain is that he's leaving the sport with unfinished business, and a lot of people who once believed in him feeling disappointed. What do you think? Is Daniel Dubois genuinely done with boxing, or is this all just a publicity stunt? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.